pre-war production did not hold a match longer than wartime model. Did not hold much longer than wartime models. Yeah, I know. They got used up very fast just because combat losses. I don't know. I mean, if Arno, if you can tell me where the surrender production or progress for France is, I'll gladly look it up. But I don't know where it is. I normally don't just care. I just gonna defeat them. Okay, you push there. You guys attack there, and you can join in that attack to pin these guys in place to hopefully... They're going into occupy there, so let's... You also need to occupy there. They're coming that way pretty fast, but there's a lot of forces there. Okay. You guys and you guys back there. We're not going to let them be too... Okay, we've made it into here. Let's go down to Nantes. Cut all of this off. I know they still have supply via the port, but no longer supply across land or the ability to retreat across land. Okay, well, no longer being pushed. You guys march out to Cherbourg. Looking at the Soviet-made tanks built during the war, it looks like they were put together with shovels. Oh, you think they're that sophisticated? Man, yeah. No. Okay. Like I was saying, I would say German production of things like tanks until late in the war, they're making stuff as if it's a durable good. As if, you know, we're going to use them in the next war too, kind of thing. And they're not necessarily lasting that long. I'm just saying that that's how they're being made. You're very right, Beam Slam, that Soviet production was crude and mostly effective as being its basis. The Soviets really liked American tanks, but not for combat. They used them in combat some, but they loved American tanks. And because American tanks were, and the British were also impressed with how long you could run a tank. They literally like take one American tank or a small group of them and start driving it around Britain and keep driving it around Britain and keep driving it around Britain before it finally breaks down, because they run out of you know, they it's not like in circle. It's like they're driving this tank to see how long it just, you know, driving usage, and without doing any significant repair or, you know, maintenance, just drive it until it breaks. And, you know, where a British tank, you know, you could drive it from here to here and it's going to break, and then you got to repair it, and then it's going to break by the time you get to Hull, and you got to repair it, and then by the time you get up to Newcastle, it's going to, somewhere in there, it's going to break again, and you got to repair it. You know, if you don't constantly do the maintenance on it, just simply drive it. And you can drive it over to here, might make it down there, but by the time you get to Liverpool, it's going to break again. That's how the British tanks literally are operating throughout the whole war. They need constant maintenance. They are mechanically unreliable, I would say. However effective they are in combat, they're mechanically unreliable. The Soviets are just about as bad or worse in reliability. But the American tanks, like I say, the British just can't believe it. They're just driving this one tank all over, and it won't fall apart on them or break, or, you know, won't, like when they get in the morning to start up, it'll just start up and go, and the engine will run, the tracks will move, and the tank will roll forward. You know, a Sherman, I think it was, that they were doing, and for testing purposes. And so the British are, you can't build anything like this. This is impossible. I mean, because they literally think it's sort of like impossible, and the Americans are like, what? This is how we make things. The Soviets love it too, just for that aspect, is that they use, particularly Shermans, but they use them as training tanks to train up the units, because they can use them for a long time, and they can train up the, you know, tank units, whether brigade, battalions or divisions or whatever, and then re-equip them and do a quick, how to use this particular vehicle, because it's only going to be used for a very short time in combat, and they think and they're probably right, the Soviet T-34s and whatnot are better for combat on the Eastern Front. They're going to better protection, maybe a better gun, going to do better with them than the Shermans. Now they also get a bunch of British tanks, and they don't like them because they break down all the time and they don't have big enough guns and not enough armor. So they're not terribly happy with the British tanks that they get, but they are happy with the Americans. Hello, ZZ. How you doing? Much rough surfaces compared to the Germans' rolled armor. Absolutely. Expected lifespan of T-34 was in weeks. Absolutely, beam slam. Now, and you're right. Okay. I guess time for another rant. I know I said we're going to play more, and we already have played some, and we will continue this. But years ago, I had an opportunity, so I bought it. I have a Walther PP. That stands for Police Pistole. You, of course, have all heard here. I'm presuming maybe even you already know what I'm talking about, but of a Walther PPK, James Bond's gun, right? Which now is only, I think, made by Inner Arms here in America or something. But I have a Walther PP. That was the standard version. PPK means Police Pistole Kurz, and all it is a shortened down, made smaller version of the gun. Otherwise, it's the same gun. I have one, made by Walther. So it's a neat little gun, and it was made, I think, late 1944, or second half of 44. I think it's been years since looked it up. And a couple of things are really interesting about this pistol. Bond and the gun that killed Hitler. Yes. One I don't understand, one aspect. One I do understand. The first we're going to go into is not why the rant, but I do understand. And it is sort of going to what Beam Slam is saying here. It's called in what collectors call straw finish. And it's in good shape. I mean, it's in very nice shape. And it's sort of late in the war, they were, it's what we would generally call a bluing process. You also sort of have browning processes, but bluing process type thing. But the process leaves it as sort of a russet color instead of blue. But it's that type of a finish onto the metal. But part of the reason, and it's sort of like russet, so that's part of the reason for the straw. But it is, there's a lot of machining tool marks. Now, they're all sort of nice and going in the same way, but no Walther pistol would have left the factory looking like this in 1930 something. Anytime during 1930. They have not gone through the last elements, and when you cut the metal, there's machine cut, and they're all smooth, generally to touch. Now you can feel the ridges there, meaning it's not like going to cut your hand, but it's supposed to be almost like glass, meaning you take that gun, the outside, and it's basically a smooth glass. This has the machining tool still very visible on this gun. And so this is, a PP, so it's a small pistol, but it is the larger version of the PPK, is the Kurz, standing for short, the James Bond. And it, so this is made towards the end of the war. And these kinds of things really start only showing up in 44. And it's of various types. You see them in things. So it's rough finished. But all of the operating surfaces, the slide where the gun slide on each other, the inside, and wherever there's, metal touching metal that moves, is like glass. It is not. Can join legionary I don't know. I don't get. We're not. This is not a multi thing. How does this max? This. Hello. Uh. Ergagence one. I'm liking this much better than World Ablaze. I'm done with World Ablaze. It is World Ablaze is a mix of a historically based game with a hard challenge based game, which is making it unhistorical in that they're making things harder than what it should be. So, and all of you new over on Twitch or anywhere else, please remember to follow the channel. Hope you guys to see you more often. And if you want to check out my YouTube channel, I know on Twitch you can scroll down and see a link to that there to catch the earlier videos. So wherever like I say, wherever the surface is important on this Walther PP that I have, it's like glass. It's just as smooth. And I've played with other, 1930s era PPs or PPKs. It functions just as well. So non-functional surfaces are left rough, but still putting on a nice finish on it. So that part I understand is that the quality, you had a PPK, the Walther pistol model. Well, yeah, PPK is a water pistol model. Oh, I didn't quite read that right. Beam slam. Yeah, so this, this gun, functionally, it's going to function as a firearm just as well as a pre-war manufactured gun. And they're just trying to get as many of them out there. Now, realize Germany is in desperate need of everything, but it is very much in desperate need of pistols, because every single MG34 or MG42 that is, carried by an infantry guy, I'm not talking mounted in a vehicle, I'm talking, a deployed infantry thing. Every single one also needs or should have. I don't know in reality how much do have it, but they all should also have a pistol. The Luger or a P30 Walther P38 is the preferred gun for that, but they should all have a pistol, because when you're just marching around or moving around, you may not have any bullets loaded in your machine gun, and you don't want your machine gun captured, so you want a pistol. So everybody who is carrying a machine gun needs a pistol. All of your tank crewmen. Now, a lot of tanks do get a MP40 as part of its standard gear and have a rack, a mount someplace maybe for it to go, or just it's inside, so they have a submachine gun. But every other guy, because you don't want to be somewhere and have your tank break down in the middle of combat, or it's damaged in the middle of combat and you bail out. You want a gun on yourself, and you don't want to have to climb onto the back of the tank where you shoved a couple of Mauser rifles. You want a gun on you when you're having to bail out of that tank fast. Or if you're just somewhere, your tank's broken down, the rest of the unit's sort of moving on, and you're trying to repair it, and then some enemy stragglers or whatever shows up. You want a gun on yourself. So, and every pilot and every crewman out in most of combat planes, you want a pistol. Like Gunther Rahl recently reread at least his brief biography on Wikipedia, and I know he's shot down at least once, or they're forced to land behind in his Stuka and behind Soviet territory, controlled territory down in here. I think it is in the Ukraine, but it's somewhere along this river here. And he gets out just fine. His machine gunner in back, because it's a Stuka 2 person, they both get out there just fine. Now the machine gunner, the guy in back, doesn't make it across because he drowns in the river coming across this river here. Gunther Rahl makes it, so I don't know whether it was just too cold of water and legs cramped up and died, or just wasn't a strong enough swimmer, or what, but he didn't make it across. There's no record of him becoming a prisoner of war. So you're behind enemy lines. You want a pistol, maybe a couple of mags, just to like scare away the local peasants, because you got the famous sort of film of the guy who captured Rudolf Hess holding his pitchfork, because that's sort of how he captures Rudolf Hess. He has a pitchfork. Now Rudolf Hess could have had a pistol, but he was trying to get to the Duke of Hamilton, I believe it is, if I remember the history right, because he lands in Scotland. Incredible, Rudolf Hess, nut job for sure. But he takes off in a Messerschmitt 110, at night, flies up over the North Sea all by himself, navigates to a particular part down here in the lowlands, where the Duke of Hamilton has his country estate, navigates at night over to the estate, gets over the estate, the general area. It's not like he's just somewhere vaguely in Scotland, but he knows roughly where this is. I don't believe ever has been there, and it's at night, and there's blackout conditions. Realize this. He gets over the goddamn estate, and it's a large chunk of land, big chunk of land. It's not like just next door. Gets over it. He knows he's over it. Well, I presume he knows, well, he's correct. He then unbuckles his seat harness, opens his cockpit, sliding hatch thing, it slides open over it, and then rolls the plane upside down and falls out of the aircraft. That's how he bails out. So he's just flying along normally. Okay, I've navigated all in one night over the North Sea, over Scotland, found the place. Okay, unhook everything, just rolls the airplane over, falls out of the airplane, and then pulls his parachute and lands. That's how Rudolf Hess. I mean, yeah, he's a nutter. He supports an evil regime. We're not talking about, his moral character. We're just talking about the remarkability of his being a pilot and able to do all this stuff all by himself, navigate at night, enough to be able to drop a bomb on the estate, not necessarily blow up the big house, because there's a big, estate house there, but put a bomb onto the farmland that's part of the estate. Because he puts himself and parachutes down and goes looking for someone to get him to the local lord, local guy in charge, in essence, as he sees it, the Duke of Hamilton. Duke of Hamilton wasn't even there at the time. He was like down in London or somewhere. But that's Rudolf Hess getting out. And of course, so he's giving up to some of the locals who they think may hide him to get him, because he believes that there's this, use the term British fifth column. And of course, these Scottish peasants are going to be loyal to their duke, their lord, and not to the overall British state. And again, how deranged he is, or just uninformed. But that's what he thinks. So you want a pistol on you. So Germany needs, plus in all of these, we've talked about all the, bad things that the Nazis are doing and occupying you. So you need huge amounts of pistols. I know we're still on a pistol here. So understand that they're just trying to crank out as many possible pistols as they can. They're every single captured pistol. Because if you're the Reichsbahn, the railway service people, there are armed security units, right? I'm talking not army, I'm talking Reichsbahn, that are doing security, not like the armored trains, but actual sort of that. But you also have, various people, that are operating. If some partisans come up, you want some pistols on you, because these guys are uniformed. They're not military. They're not. Some are police, because there is the Reichsbahn police. But you want pistols for these. So you want pistols for all kinds of things. And a lot of them are, hey, yeah, here's this pistol, can be a 4-in-1. Here's a box of ammunition. That's all you're ever going to get. Fine, just go. Because you're not really actually expected to shoot anybody with this pistol. It's just to have a pistol on you. And if things start to go to shit, you can start going bang, bang, bang to, stay away from me. I got a gun kind of thing. And so you can use all kinds of weird knockoff guns and rare stuff that they capture. And so it doesn't really matter. It's not something you have to feed a supply line if you just hand somebody some old revolver with some old ammunition and, good luck guarding your train or your factory, a factory guard somewhere. You're not equipping this guy to go into a combat unit. All right. Okay. So you understand why they need so many pistols. Now, why in the hell? Oh, and a Walther PP comes in it was totally misguided for sure. Oh yeah. We can talk about, that could be a whole episode or a book on Rudolf Hess. One of the people most responsible for the Nazi regime happening, but that's another story. Going way back. The Walther PP comes in 2 calibers. In America, we call it a 32 caliber ACP Colt automatic pistol, basically sort of designed, at least in rough elements, if not detail. I don't know how much detail I put in, by John Moses Browning. Or it comes in what we call 380 ACP, again, at least in rough terms, if not in detail. I just don't know how much, designed by John Moses Browning. In Europe, it's called, 765. The 32 is called 765 millimeter, and the 380 is called 9 millimeter Kurtz. Still, both calibers still used by the police in Europe and modern guns. Right. So these are very small caliber. So the 9 millimeter Kurtz is same diameter as 9 millimeter Parabellum. You know, the MP40, the Luger caliber, but it's a lot less powerful. You're in 1940. You're producing pistols for wartime. You have 2 choices of caliber to produce these pistols in. One, a very anemic, I would say, 32 caliber. One in a lightweight 9 millimeter. Why do you produce it in 32? Now, I do believe that the 32, just give the one argument that I can really see why you would do it in 32, is you can get one more bullet in that magazine. You can have one more bullet in the magazine of a 32 than you can for a 380. And this gun is produced in late 1944. It's produced in 32 caliber. I don't understand why, for military logistics, for practical use in wartime, because again, you know, as they're making it, they may not know what this batch of guns is going to, is it going to end up in the Army and the Luftwaffe and the SS? They may not know that as they're producing it. Or maybe it is produced because somebody from the Air Force comes in and goes, I want 5,000 pistols and 30. Maybe it's, but why would the Air Force come in and ask for 5,000 pistols and 32 or whatever it is they may be asking for? Why do you do it? This is sort of the ranting part. Why in the middle of a war do you make a 32 caliber pistol when you could be making it in 380? Is it the one more round? Can anybody tell me why? Because yes, I have the sort of American prejudice. Now I love 9 millimeter Parabellum. I think it's it's the cartridge that is the most balanced between effectiveness and numbers of rounds in a gun, versus how much recoil it has and all this stuff. So I love 9 millimeter. It is my cartridge of choice, but I am partially affected by the Americanisms of 45 ACP, big bullets, heavy hitting. So I may be prejudiced that way, but I know we have a bunch of Europeans here. Why in the hell would you make it in 32 in the middle of the war? Who is asking for these pistols? Oh, and it is Waffen-Amt stamped. I don't know if that determines what branch of service it went into, because Waffen-Amt just means it's in the, taken over by the armed forces and not a police or SS thing. It's taken over by the armed forces. So why do you make it in 32 caliber? What is the thinking there? Can anybody answer that? And like I say, the only thing I can come up with is that really sort of does it is one extra bullet in the magazine. But that's presuming you're making this thing to do too much shootouts. We're not going to increase the number of air, so I think we're going to throw in another factory into heavy artillery, because we have the tungsten and we have that ability to do so. So I don't know. One of my sort of interesting little conundrums. Okay, you come down. Oh no, there's a bunch of British there, so you joined that attack. The British have landed and are trying to defend Fairboard. Okay, now you're here, so you rush and overrun these guys. Don't let them have a minute's break. You join that rush. You join the assault out on the Cherbourg. You come down because you're just a motorized infantry regiment trying to occupy them. Hey ZZ, yeah, France is still fighting November 40. I have not done great in this invasion here. No, let's... Maybe I'm spending too much time chatting with you guys and not enough. Oh, looks like there's nobody there. So yes, go in there. Oh, you gotta move through. Yeah, that's all. No, you can just move to there. We'll move you guys up that way. Okay, no, we're gonna... You guys down this way. Like I say, I still can't figure it out. Yep, we have Paris. I'm going to leave one division in Paris while moving the rest forward. If we jumped across... I don't know. What is this, the Rhone? Sorry, I don't know. Okay, yeah, we're going to hit them where they ain't, opposed to where they are here. And you can support that attack. That's a good reason why not to support. And... Oh, good. You're going to support there. These guys are going to move down into there. I know they have supply issues. Okay, we are finding now some British forces here, so we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin. And I think what... Okay. New radar. Good. Improved diesel engines. Fine. Okay, what are these? Now, these guys here. Stop. Put you on trains. We're going to send you out that way. Because we may need reinforcements there. Hey, Singh! Good to have you here. I hope you're doing even better than you were before. I don't know if you did the invasion bad as much as the mod giving more fighting spirit to France than they had historically. Well... I would say generally the AI fights harder than real French, because Paris was declared an open city. They weren't going to fight for it. Every Hearts of Iron game I've ever played basically turns Paris into a Stalingrad or something of a battle for it. No problem. Oh, I hope everybody's good in your family. Hope it was just something you guys could take care of. I wish you all the best. So that now one thing you did mention, ZZ, the invasion, the complaint, and I like, and I have good things to say about Hearts of Iron, or Black Ice for Hearts of Iron 4. I really do like it, but I do have complaints. There is a national focus. It's called Around Maginot. I didn't read it carefully, and maybe if I read it carefully, it would have changed things. But I didn't read it carefully. I started Around Maginot. I thought that when the national focus was done, it was going to give me a decision, probably en masse, because that's the way I would do it. But whether it's en masse or one at a time, to declare war on the Low Countries. Well, I wasn't prepared, and I go, oh, you're at war with them. And I had a bunch of forces back here, a bunch of forces back here that I just hadn't moved up to the front because I didn't want to put too much strain sitting on the supply. So the initial invasion was pretty slow and delayed, which allowed, particularly the French, but also the British, to better deal with things than maybe they should have. So, it's partially that's my fault with that, however, because like I say, I didn't necessarily read it well. And look at that. I see the Brits, yeah, Cherbourg, but hey, it's at least not an armored corps in Belgium. Yeah, Well, I think it's sort of because they have a port here and, you know, a land bridge in the Channel Islands. I don't think I would give it that much of an existence, shall we say. Okay, so we're going to attack here with you supporting. Okay, we can do Schleswig-Holstein research here. More naval stuff. Like I've said before, I'm mostly using this as a test. This playthrough is just to test certain things, including the invasion of Russia. So some of this stuff I'm not taking terribly seriously, and that's particularly the naval aspects of the game. I am building submarines, and we are doing that, but I'm just sort of ignoring most other things. So it's not that I'm saying that that's what you should do or what I should do. It's just sort of what I am doing. Okay. November 30th. Do I want to? Well. We got that, which let's do this. It's just 42 days. Well. Okay, well, we've increased and we've increased. How are we doing for trucks? Transport trucks. Okay, we're doing pretty good for transport trucks. Heavy trucks, which I have found out are just for supply usage. We're doing very good. Oh, and Pickle is here. Will you research 105 medium artillery next? Well, when I don't know if next is the right term, but when I get for some of the here, some of the only, you know, stuff that this one can do, I probably will do so at times. I intend to do so. When and where I can, I'm focusing on industrial background research, and I'm leaving it up to this here. So yeah. So at some point, Pickle, maybe next. I don't know. Okay. Well, hopefully we're going to catch up with those and overtake. We're way down on garrison equipment. Okay, we'll throw another factory into garrison equipment. I'm hoping garrison equipment won't have a high consumable, meaning once you build it and the garrisons will just sort of like, hey, we've got garrison equipment. Cool. We don't need any more, you know. Okay. Well, we have this mountain division sitting here, so we're going to attack. We might as well secure the riverbank. And you're going to support that there. Now here, we're going to push in here again to sort of secure this riverbank. Actually, do this from 4 directions. We've reached the riverbank here, and we're moving forces down. A waffle. Okay. The PaK-38 is needed to research better tank cannons, by the way. Okay, that's maybe what I should do next on that. Download a Call of Duty Cold War, and it's fine. Well, very good. I've not played that Call of Duty. I've not played Call of Duty in a long time. I have played it, like the original. I'm that old. You need to move up. You can support that. Well, you're not well organized, but well, not organized at all. Well, the British are pushing out. Okay, so stop. You march up to here. You guys all stop. You march to there. Just in case they push this guy out. They're really doing a second front here. Yeah, this shouldn't. These ports cannot supply. Well, I guess they may be supplying in Cherbourg. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, Cherbourg maybe. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see if we can take out Brest here. Actually, the main port. Let them push out. Why do I want to let them push out? I don't need enemy in my rear. We're going to send you that way. We're going to send you this way. Encircle them? Yeah, not a bad idea, I guess, encircle. I don't know. We'll see. That may be a little bit more after we actually crush France. So I find mostly with most of these war games, France surviving a lot longer than it did historically. It fights harder. Okay, well, are unit go there. Armor unit go there. Armor unit go there. Motorized unit go there. Motorized unit go there. 4 divisions go there. The other 2 stay. And we need to get more political power because we do need to expand a draft. Okay. It should be probably an expanded draft by now. I think they're giving me way too little political power, or things that are costing too much political power than it should. However you want to say that. Get a bunch of free British equipment. Yeah, I hear you, Toy. I'm not going to do it just yet, and I'm not saying your strategy isn't a good one. I think it might be a good one, but I just want to take out France first, and then okay, we pushed into here. These guys are across. We want to connect up all this railway, so we're going to go this way. I know that doesn't look like it's connecting railway, but what we're doing is here to there, and we're gonna let them organize up a bit. Hello, Dominique. How you doing? A teeny bit. Steel Division 2. Teeny bit. Ari, can you tell me how to find out? I think there's how much support. What's the surrender progress of France? I don't normally care about that, so I don't know where to go looking for it. So if you want to tell me where it is, I'll show it happily. Arno wanted it shown, but he couldn't tell me where it was. How to do that. And so if you want to show, if you're talking surrender progress, just let me know how to do that. Yeah, that's still a possibility, Toyjet. Multiplayer Steel Division 2. Click the artillery explosion under the XP. Here. Okay. Where's France? France. Why am I not seeing France? French Republic. Okay. Okay, they're 97% towards capitulation. So there you go. Thank you, Harry. I just normally know go get objectives, you know, bigger the objective, more points or whatever. So that's what I just sort of care about. Okay, pause. Yeah, we're gonna try to jump this river here. Okay, you're pushing there, you're pushing there. You're gonna support that attack. You're gonna attack down here. And you're gonna support him. Yeah, I wouldn't call myself rusty. I'd just call myself not terribly well up on it. How to close the enemy is to failing. Like an actual commander that, yeah, I just, you know, I'm just trying to win. Meaning I know to take, you know, Bordeaux and, you know, Nantes and other major cities and destroy the enemy's armed forces. I know what will bring victory, so I'm doing it, what will bring victory. And not really caring, like you say, exactly what... Yeah, let's just push here. The details of how close they are to surrender. Okay, well they've been stymied at their push out there. We may let them push out like Toyjet's saying later. It doesn't sound like a bad idea. Okay, the Aus J is completed. Now, okay, we've got some of these things researched that we can. Yeah, you're probably very right that we need to get... Yeah, there's your pack 38 that we need to do that. I guess we could do the chassis now, Arno, but I'm not going to take almost a year to do it, so no. We'll do that. Well, let's look at... This time we're looking at this and that and that. Okay. So I do want to upgrade my army of tanks here. Again, political power is being used for way too many things. I don't... Can somebody explain it to me, whether you're a Black Ice dev or not? What political power does it take to form the 7th Panzer Division? That's what Rommel had for the invasion of France. I know it's probably taking one of these light divisions and turning it into a Panzer Division. I get that. But why does that take political power? I understand that you've moved it into a decision. That's great. But why the political power? Even 5. Why? Because now if we're going to do this, give me 5 political powers a day, you know, or something. Make it balance out. I don't get why this is even a thing that's political power. Now, some of this stuff, you know, I don't know, expanding the west wall, that might be, or other things here, taking trucks away from civilians. Yeah, they see that as political power. You know, military, well, it's command power there. But war propaganda, yeah, war propaganda is political power. I'm not saying use of political power is wrong, but in all cases, it's just here. And so I want to do a bunch of these things. Got to control certain places and territories and whatnot. That's fine. But I want to I want to either build or upgrade the, you know, to better tanks and chassis and whatnot. So what we're going to do, well, yeah, I also want to do more aircraft, but I am, okay, let's come over here. Do we have another one to click? No, we're not yet to getting some of these models here. Let's just, okay. Support battalions. Okay, we've got enough for that, so let's give them an anti-tank special forces battalions. Yeah, why not? We'll finish that off. Yeah, we have some other bombers, but I don't think we're going to switch to that. So let's come back over here. I think this will do. Let's see, France, because Cherbourg still is there. It's probably something like that. You're right, Dominique. It's raining really hard here, and I'm kind of sad for my uncle because he's a farmer, part-time farmer. I think this year's crops will be ruined. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, too much rain can be as big a problem as too little. I wouldn't want to be a farmer. It's a hard job. Be interested in starting a campaign, a few quick battles, and some against some AIs after the stream, so I can learn. Okay, yeah, Ari, you get better with it, and you can help teach me. That's good. I could use some help with that. I know, Ari, you were playing around. What's your favorite division in Steel Division? I've literally, Dominique, just touched the game a little bit. I've not really played the game, so I can't answer that. As to like an idea of a favorite or some such. Okay, you guys here, you're going to jump across this river, and you're going to support the attack.